I'm Mahima. I'm the founder of a sustainable clothing brand called Sui, and I'm also a mom. I'm someone who loves nature as well, and I was born and brought up in India, and I currently live in Singapore. I think it's interesting because I grew up with two entrepreneurs in my family, one being in the retail clothing business and one being in the tech business. So I think somewhere deep down, I always felt like I had to live up to that. And in India, I guess when you're a child, educationally and like when you're in school, if you're not in the top tier of like the top 10 or top 20 students, often at times teachers are not going to give you the attention that you may require. And you could be struggling with many things, which in my case was just confidence or, being more reserved. So I think when I was younger, the expectations that I felt like I had to live up to was more like showing success through being more studious or like through doing really well in school. I think it's not just about your parents. I think it's about society, and it's about the culture and sort of the generation that maybe we grew up in and I grew up in, wherein in order for you to get into the best universities or to get the best job, that academic track record is just expected out of you. And any other passion or any other way that you may be perceived may not kind of sink in well with that. So I think that pressure maybe came from there. My mom was always the one who was hard on me. My dad was always the one who was understanding, trying his best. There was definitely pressure in the years of middle school when I was changing and I was going through my own transformation of understanding who I was and making new friends. So I think that pressure definitely came from both like societal, educational, and then somewhere there it must have been my family as well, though I don't recall it very, very profoundly. But yeah. Touch wood, I was blessed enough to have parents who were letting me explore my passions and my whims and my fancies. I definitely think I gave my parents a fright when I was younger because I wanted to be in the music industry. I wanted to be a singer. I literally used to write albums. I was not very good at playing anything. I used to enjoy singing, but also writing. So my initial calling was always to do something creative because that's where my heart always lied. So I wanted to look into journalism or music, or become a poet. Like those were the things that I wanted to explore. My parents were actually nice enough to let me find ways to explore these passions of mine, and which is something smart that they did because they opened it up to me and I realized whether it made sense to me for my future or not. And then I think eventually what I do today just fell into place because I had a family that was in the clothing business and it was a very natural progression. So I would say no, I think I had a lot of support from my parents. They did not let me feel like I had to know from the get-go what I wanted to do with my life. Interestingly, I got engaged a month before graduating from my master's. I had no idea what I wanted to do next with my life. I knew I wanted to work in the clothing industry, but it had been during the time that I was discovering sustainable fashion and really changing my gears as to what I wanted to do as a career. And that's when I got engaged. So for that entire year, I don't talk about this often, but everyone's focus was always, you gotta get married, you gotta figure out what to wear, and like this is what you should be focusing on. While in my head, I think for that entire year, I was so lost because I had no idea where I wanted my life to go. And I think that was a time where a lot was expected out of you for you to care about this part of your life while you're trying to figure out what to do with your career. So that was probably the starting point. I think, again, societal, a woman is always expected to be a certain way and look after a family in a certain way or a house in a certain way. So I think somewhere my career was probably not given the standing that I would have expected it to. Being a wife or being a woman who's about to get married and kind of took over that. Because I'm very strong-headed, I think I constantly made it a point to speak up for myself, and made sure that I was working while I was trying to figure out what to do while I was, preparing for my wedding. So I think leading up to the wedding, I definitely think that somewhere, and even though no one said it out bluntly to me, I was expected to put my career on a backseat and completely focus on my wedding. Wherein for me, I think they went hand in hand because I need, like, for me, having something to do and having a reason or a passion, it's important for me to figure that out. So I did feel like it was important. It was something that came in the way, and I had to stand up for myself several times over to be like, no, I'm looking for a job because I want to look for a job. And I've had people tell me like, why do you want to look now? Why don't you wait till after the wedding? Why don't you wait till you're settled and like this and that? And yeah,
that must have been really frustrating. Yeah.
Looking back, yes, it was very frustrating, especially because I did not know. Sui was just like a thought. It wasn't even there. It was so hard to find a job in Singapore. Being on an LTVP back then, not even an LTVP because I wasn't married yet. It was really difficult.
Yeah.
I guess because I have been with my husband. I mean, he's my best friend. I've been with him for 16, 17 years of my life. We literally grew up together. So somewhere we have a very sweet meeting point as to what we know of each other. He probably knows me the best out of everyone probably knows me the best in this whole wide world. So he knows my ways of dealing with things, and I can be very blunt to him about how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So I think that relationship definitely helped me, and he never had any expectations out of me. So I think for me that was the first and foremost most important thing, right? That he opened up his world to say, you go out there, you want to start this business, I'm here, I'll support you. I think that matters so much, especially living in a country like Singapore where he was still struggling with his career back then. I was trying to figure things out, and you know what that means financially. Yes, we didn't have a child back then, but we still had to start building our life. So I think he supported me. That mattered a lot. So I think I put his expectations on top, that he should be okay. So that was definitely there, that what does he think of me, and that sort of pressure that comes in a relationship, which I think is on top, that he should be okay. So that was definitely there, that what does he think of me, and that sort of pressure that comes in a relationship, which I think is okay. A lot of the other things, yes, I think my mom is always one of the conservative types who's like, no, you must look after it, you're the woman of the house now, you must look after your family, you must. It's there. I listen to some of it I think I try to just maneuver it, knowing that this is who I am and this is my space. How else did I deal with that adult pressure? I think I just stood up for myself.
Yeah.
No matter what, I stood up for myself. So I'm raising a girl, and I don't know, I feel like I take that responsibility very, very seriously today. Especially because having grown up in India, and knowing where we're placed in the world, and knowing that it's not always, it doesn't come around often where you're allowed to go explore or like sort of grab the opportunities that may come for you. You're often not taken as seriously if you're running a business. The type of business you may be running could be looked at in different ways. For example, I know that I run a clothing business, and I know there are still a lot of people in my life that may not take that seriously, no matter how hard I may try. So I think that it's very important for me to nurture her in a way to understand that the world is her oyster, like it's her canvas, and she should be able to, go out there and pursue anything and anything that she wants to do. So I take that responsibility very seriously in how I raise her and how I also speak to Aman, because my husband will not understand what a woman may have to go through in any stage of her life. So I definitely think that even though she's two today, I'm talking as if, but even though she's two, I definitely find ways that I can keep empowering her to be confident in herself, and trust her instincts, trust herself. Even now, like if she's falling down or I'm talking to her, just giving her the little things that she can feel good about herself. Because I think as women, and I don't know if men are brought up the same way, but I know that I grew up with lower confidence, and it could be for several reasons. But yeah, I think it is. We are still in Asia, especially India, a very conservative way to society. Women still need to work even harder to prove their worth. I don't know now that I look back where it comes from, but I think that one is a personality trait, so you take that as that. But I also feel like no one, not no one, but I just think that back then, if you were quiet, you were just quiet. No one would give you, you would never the person that they come to and talk to if you're a more quiet kid in the classroom. And I think that's also a lot of pressure of just being a certain way or looking a certain way or being a certain size. Like all of this is just generational that is, bent down upon you from maybe your grandmother to your mother to. So I think it was a lot to do with just that. And it was a battle that I fought for myself. And it changed for me when I switched schools, so maybe it had a lot to do with that. Shifting from a classroom of 40 students to a classroom of 20 students, and actually having teachers and mentors that gave you a chance to, speak up or pushed you in a way that was not harmful, but in a way that would inspire you to want to do more. Success for me would mean being happy in the life that you have created for yourself. Be it your relationships, be it, your journey as a mom, be it success for me would be just knowing that you're living that, knowing that you're fulfilling that with all your heart and all your passion and really enjoying that. I think that is success, being able to give time to all of these aspects of your life, being present in them. Not so much monetarily, I feel like it's a part of that, because when you're able to do that, then maybe you're able to churn out benefits. I think success for me is really just being present in those moments of my life.